Do you know that your parents can be undocumented, but it doesn't mean that the child is invisible? Now, there's an interesting case that has unfolded and a judgment was made on the 29th of July in the Western Cape High Court. And here is the issue and why it's very important. Now, the Center for Child Law and others, versus the Minister of Home Affairs, it was declared by the High Court that certain provisions of the Birth and Registration Act were unconstitutional. Certain regulations of birth and registration were unconstitutional in the manner that it stopped the children of undocumented foreign nationals to be denied the legal right to register the birth. So here's what happens. If the parents did not have a passport, they did not have a permit, they did not have a visa, whatever their immigration status, the law says or the court says, it cannot be justified to deny the constitutional right. Is it section 28? Okay, it should be 28 of the Constitution. So it means that every child has a legal right to registration from birth. So this is a right that comes and that is imposed by everybody, is entitled to that right from birth. Okay? Now, there are some key elements that I need to express so that it avoids any confusion. But I want to just talk about the judgment. So now, the judgment is temporarily suspended for 18 months the birth and registration regulations, which provide a barrier for the children of undocumented migrants to be registered. So the reason for the 18 months is to give, the Department of Home Affairs enough time to make revisions so that they can accommodate the children of undocumented migrants. Further on, the court also said it will not only apply to minors, it can also apply to adults, which is abandoned children and also orphan children who were never registered. Okay, so this is the backbone of the case. Now, here are the critical analysis that I want to offer so that we can have a better understanding. Okay, the court is not taking away the right and the discretion of the Department of Home Affairs to do their verification, background check, interview parents. Home Affairs will still do what they're supposed to do. What the court was doing was to say, don't put a blanket barrier to say you cannot qualify. Rather, everybody is entitled to the process. If, of course, you fail the interview, you cannot provide evidence and so forth, then that will be another issue. But the court is saying, have a fair process where everybody has a right to documentation. Now, here is my critical viewpoint after this. Firstly, there are three elements that we need to understand, and don't confuse them. There is immigration status, then there is birth and registration, then there is citizenship, and I'll distinguish them. Now, your immigration status is something else that you have to comply based on the Immigration Act, right? And then registration must be done to everybody despite their legal status, okay? So any child is entitled to registration of a birth, okay? But now, having a birth certificate registered in South Africa does not entitle you to citizenship. I want you to understand that. At birth, a child assumes the immigration status of their parents. That is what happens at birth. So if you are born to parents who are temporary residence visa holders, then when the child is born, the child will be able to assume the status of the parents by applying a dependent visa under the parents. If the parents are permanent residents, then the child will then be entitled to apply for a relative visa minor after being born to permanent residents residing in South Africa, and so on. So what the issue of the court here is not imposing immigration status to the children of undocumented migrants. They are giving them the right to documentation and registration of their birth, okay? What happens after that, there are other several processes. So here we are dealing with the Immigration Act, the Birth and Registration, and the Citizenship Act. The child does not become a South African citizen because their birth is registered. South Africa does not have citizenship by birth to foreign nationals. That is not America. That happens in the USA and not in South Africa. In South Africa, when a foreign child is born in the country, they still need to undergo the legal route to acquire their immigration status. So That is what happened. And I hope I've tried to break it down that the immigration status, the registration of birth, and citizenship are completely distinct areas of law. And the court was only dealing with the birth and registration regulations, which stopped the children of undocumented migrants from being registered. It's a constitutional right. Everybody has a right to be registered after birth. I hope I've cleared that.